You're listening to the Relevance Hour, the podcast where purpose driven leadership and bold ideas bring more impact and relevance. Join André, Wiringa, and Denis Drossart as they talk to inspiring leaders, disruptors, and change makers, redefining how we learn, lead, and interact. Get ready for stories, insights, and conversations that keep you ahead and always relevant.
Hello, and welcome to the Relevance Hour podcast, the place where relevance and leadership come together to change the way people learn, lead, and interact. I'm André Wiringa, the CEO of Start Reverse, and I couldn't be more excited than to kick off this journey with you today. About myself, I'm truly passionate about team engagement, guest experience, culture, and leadership, and how they all come together. All of our reverse engineers at Start Reverse are united by a purpose to bring relevance to the world. And I'm simply beyond pride to see how we are now supporting global brands, successful leaders across the globe. We believe in the power of reversology, which is short for reverse psychology, which is our view on putting the people first in everything we do. This is why we transform guests, patients, passengers into loyal fans, team members, talents into brand ambassadors, managers into epic leaders, and as a result, businesses into meaningful, memorable experiences. So let me start by introducing my friend and partner, Denis Drossart. Denis, welcome. We go back quite a while, more than a decade. We've been friends more than 10 years. We've been partnering for the last 2 years. You've been a customer for about 10 years. Please introduce yourself. You're also one of the hosts on the podcast.
Well, thanks for being here together, André. It's a pleasure. I remember we first met in Amsterdam when I was working at Le Pain Quotidien in the franchising, so expanding the business globally. And one of the things that I struggled the most back then as a business leader when you are growing a brand was how do you scale culture, basically? How do you keep your DNA while maintaining the essence of it, right? And the country that I personally enjoyed the most coming back to was Le Pain Quotidien, the Netherlands. Of course, right? And to be honest and fair, it's not because the food was the best, or it's not because the environment was the most gorgeous one. It's how they made me feel. And it was not just because it was Denis back then from Le Pain Quotidien, but I could see it happening with their neighbors, their guests, and the level of interactions they had with their community. And I found it so inspiring, right? So when you looked at the data, the level of engagement, retention, the customer lifetime value, the level of turnover inside their location was one of the lowest across all the globe. So I said to Arne, and Arne was the franchisee of Le Pain Quotidien, still part of the team today there. I asked him, how do you do that? And he told me, well, you have to meet my good friend André, and the rest is history. And now we are finally partnering together to bring relevance to the world together. So super glad to be here.
And Arne, what an epic leader he is. Amazing. We have this expression in the Netherlands, you put in €1 and you get 100 euros of inspiration back, right? So
absolutely.
I'm so grateful that he connected us. So if we go back, we talked about epic leadership for quite some time. What does it really mean for you? What is the essence?
Well, the essence, and we all know the acronym EPIC. For us, what it means and to me, it's the 4 key behaviors that we believe is making a leader truly epic. The E stands for empowering, making sure that we give the power to the leader and their leader to their team in order to make those meaningful interactions with the customer at every single touch point. The second one is purpose-driven. How do we make sure that every single leader knows their job? We all know our task, but our job is to be a purpose-driven leader. What is our mission? What is the purpose of my role here? So making sure that we have that alignment on the purposes is crucial to us. Inspiring, we talk about inspiring as a potential natural trait of being a charismatic leader. I don't believe that personally. I think everyone can be inspiring if you lead by those behaviors. If you are empowering, if you're truly purpose-driven, you will be naturally inspiring. And last but not least, coaching. And coaching is something that we hear a lot in sports. We talk a lot about coaching at work, but none of them are really using the power of coaching. Because what it means to us and to me, it's how do you leverage the best out of your team and not the most out of your team. And that's something that is important for leadership.
And it's such a responsibility to be a leader, and especially to be an epic leader. I mean, that's why we created this podcast, right? To share it with so many others. And I always say, like, an epic leader is not recognized by how many followers there are, but how many leaders they create. So we believe that relevance is the most important currency to go by. How do you see that?
Absolutely. Like this resonates a lot with me, right? So the purpose of leadership is to create more leaders and not passionate followers. So this resonates tons because it's how do you want to be experienced as a leader? The impact we are making on people's life will last for probably even generations, right? So for me, it means everything. So tell me, Andre, why are we creating this podcast here?
We're having an impact. We're having a responsibility and should have a positive impact on future generations. I think we've for too long managed processes and people. And I think it's good to still manage processes, optimize processes, but take the responsibility as a leader to leave a mark on the development of people that we lead. And if you think reverse, that's the essence of reversology. If you think reverse, you also want to be concerned about what is the impact I want to have on my people. The ultimate reverse is how do we want to be remembered as a leader? So in this podcast, we want to give inspiration to leaders, to aspiring leaders around the world, basically to become more empowering, more purpose-driven, more inspiring, more coaching in their approach. And speaking of that, you had your leaders, you had your share of leaders as well. What is a leader, or who do you remember as a leader that had a huge impact on your own development?
Well, I had a few. One that really stands out is his name is Christophe Boxy. He used to have 2 Michelin star restaurants and then converted into catering, where I worked as a job student right before university, before I went to hospitality management. I wasn't sure what to study. I was a bit sort of lost somehow. And that's where I discovered my passion for food, but also a passion for leadership. What really struck me with his leadership was his enthusiasm, his optimistic approach on how he tackled and changed challenges into opportunities, right? There was nothing that really can go bad. And the ripple effect of that is that his optimistic leadership approach created such a positive atmosphere, right? I was excited to go to work in the morning. I felt happy, I felt energized.
How did you do that?
Well, great question. That's the tool that I use from him, right? So every time I'm waking up in the morning, it's a choice you have, right? So choosing that optimistic approach on how you will experience today and not getting affected by any negativity or potential energy drainers, I would call them. It's a mindset. It's something you can choose doing every time you're waking up in the morning.
Beautiful.
It's to have that positive approach and optimistic view on what will happen today.
Very powerful. Hey, and tell me, so what if you have off days, or do you have off days, moments where you don't see that opportunity to think positive? So what do you do then?
Well, to realize that, so you have that off moment, you want to face that moment and look at it in the eyes and take a good deep breath, and I take a walk, and that helps me out. The most important is to realize that off moments, to have that awareness of, well, I'm having that, right? I'm feeling it. And so you process it. That's the most important thing, right? That you know you're having it, take a deep breath, you go out, you go for a walk, you come back. It's sort of a small reset, right?
I love that. And you see, that's why when we do coaching, we always try to change scenery, go away from the work environment. I mean, really have a coach on the walk, right? On the go. Walking gives you so much better conversations.
Absolutely.
So I love that. Thanks for sharing.
Oxygenate, like putting some oxygen in your brain, right? Yeah. And André, I'm curious, who are the epic leaders that shaped who you are today?
I had a few, I would imagine. I could relate to my family, get inspiration from my mom, my wife, my kids, like big time. But professionally speaking, starting probably with one of my professors at FIU when I did my master's, Florida International University in Miami, Mickey Warner. He at the time was like 70 plus. He is an amazing, let's say, professional, so driven, so passionate about cultures, corporate heroes, about how to develop people. And we visited huge operations like in-flight catering, the biggest cruise line ships in the world. We visited, hotels that were, for me at the time, beyond imagination. And it's probably thanks to him and his enthusiasm that I'm doing right now what I'm doing. So I'm grateful for that. Cliff Crosby would be another one, like an amazing leader in retail, probably one of the best retailers in the world. He led regional and global retail ops for Nike, IKEA, Nokia, later Microsoft, Apple, global retail. And Cliff, I still remember when he would design like a store or a flagship store, he would already design not just the store itself or have a team that designed it, but also he would be thinking to what point of the street people would be queuing outside to get into that store. If you follow that, you have to be like super reverse thinker. Not just thinking in terms of the architecture and the design and getting the people right, but what's going to happen from people to people in that store for people wanting to queue outside. Yeah. And I thought that, is for me was super inspiring to think reverse. And then, of course, Michael Levy, also one of our guests on the podcast. And Michael gave me so much insight in the power of context. And since we met, he has been a coach and a mentor for me, personally, professionally. And he made it so clear that training people on new skills, transferring knowledge, it's relevant, but only for a few days or weeks, unless you change the context. So I'm super grateful for these three gentlemen. They're all gentlemen, I now realize. But then again, I have two amazing daughters, two amazing sons, and a beautiful wife. Sounds maybe like I have to say this, but I want to say this. They are a daily source of inspiration for me, and I'm super grateful.
Thank you. So I hear the three major components and takeaway of those leadership. I love what you said about their corporate heroes, leadership heroes, right? So we have the power of passion, getting excited about what you do, the inspirational aspect of how do we think reverse and how do you want to be experienced as a concept, right? And having that mindset, what do I need to do in order to have a queue outside of the door is just brilliant, right? And last but not least, it's that power of context, right? Bringing everything into that contextual aspect has helped you shape Start Reverse and the whole reversology mindset. So exciting and very inspiring. Thanks for sharing. So who are we doing this for? Who is this podcast for?
We're doing this for, I'd say, for all leaders, aspiring leaders, and leaders not just by role or functional title. I think we can all take the responsibility of leading others. And that's something else than managing others, which we'll explain in the other podcast. But it's taking the responsibility to leave the world better than we found it and to really make sure that we grow our teams, have a lasting impact on our teams, and live the purpose, bring the purpose that a company has or should have to life. And making sure that the impact actually is a net positive on whatever the stakeholders you have, whatever your target audiences are, but take that responsibility as a big one. And it's not something you can take for granted that people just behave like you want them to behave. That's where leadership can actually do wonders, set people up for success by, again, being more empowering, purpose-driven, inspiring, and coaching in your way of leading. And I have to say, I'm incredibly excited about the lineup of guests that we have on this podcast. So, Dennis, who will be joining us?
Yeah, I'm so excited too. What a lineup, André. So we have Alize Wakemans. She is the COO of Le Botanist, a brilliant, fast casual, plant-based organic restaurant that started in Belgium and now expanding rapidly in New York. We have Michael Levy, a co-founder of CZM. We have Hans Meyer, founder of Zoku. We have Antje Schussler. She's the VP HR for Mazda Motor Europe. We have Paul Bridger, COO of Rove Hotels. And we have
Janine Gijssen, who is Amazing Spirit, director of Space Bus. And of course, we have Matthew Buckingham, who is the Chief Customer Officer at the Office Group and Fora in the UK and Germany. So you'll be hearing from entrepreneurs who are redefining the industry, creative minds, leaders who are not just inspired with their words, but also with their actions, who are actually having a lasting impact on their teams, on the environment that they serve. So thank you, everybody, for joining this first episode of the Relevance Hour podcast. If you find this message that is resonating to you and you want to share it with others, share the link with them, share your enthusiasm with them, and let's spread relevance one experience at a time. Until next episode, stay relevant, stay epic.
Cheers for epic stories.
This was the Relevance Hour. Don't forget to follow, rate, and share. And keep leading with relevance. See you next time.